Hey guys, my name is Ben Quann. I'm an associate broker here in Virginia, and today I have the pleasure of introducing Jeremiah Horstick, who is a local builder here in Fredericksburg, won a pile of different awards, including Fredericksburg's Best Builder.
Builder of the Year.
Builder of the Year.
Yeah,
Close enough. Close enough. But, and we really want to touch on today is like his whole process on how he breaks down all the things. We know he does a lot of different things, and we just want to kind of dial that in to see exactly if you guys came to me to buy a house or build a house, and what's his process taking you from start to finish.
It really breaks down into every lot is custom. Every lot is different, right?
Yeah.
And you can have a model home, you can have a semi-custom home, then you can have varying degrees of custom. I mean, from traditional to, the farthest reaching kind of forms of construction, concrete, to the pole barn.
Yeah.
The full range.
Yeah.
Of available product.
Yep.
Means to make a structure. So we kind of approach it on a spectrum like that.
Yes.
Not so much black and white.
Yeah, you guys do something totally different that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here. Yeah.
So, dialing in, the product that we've really honed on, the models that we've refined and have worked out are some of the best uses of space and the most effective layouts that bridge maintaining a high degree of quality while having a reasonably practically affordable home.
And these are the specs houses. These are the spec houses that you're currently building.
This is our streamline.
Streamline. Okay.
This is our streamline product that we spec.
Okay.
When we spec, we're speculating. We believe this is what the market wants. We're going to build it and find a seller later.
Yeah.
Buyer later.
How many plans do you have that you've streamlined at this point?
We work with 5 plans.
5 different plans.
Yeah, and those are pretty reliable. We just added one that was more for a narrow lot.
Okay.
We're running to that. So
like downtown or
Stafford.
Yeah. Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Then from there, when we get into the kind of more of the middle road of custom, we will work with W.L. Martin Homes.
Yep.
And they have about 500 plans.
Yeah, and you submit their website. You can pretty much pick anything.
Yeah, the cool thing about them is they're on homeplans.com, like design123.com. All of these guys, we reached out to them, right? And I was like, hey man, I see your plans. I think it's really nice plan, popular. It'll work really well. And we got to talking about the software we use. We use the same design software, so. So we're like, well, let's go. So we're gonna get some more of those plans on the site and make a broader offering.
Okay.
And then from there, starting with that, we get into, we can go anywhere from there.
Yeah.
From a commercial site, a residential site, to a bridge.
Yeah, which you've done a bridge. Yeah, we tried to do a bridge.
Yeah, we designed it.
Yeah, that's insane. So let's talk about more of like that more custom feel. So you have your streamlined product that and you've built plenty. But then let's say if someone had 20 acres and wanted to come build their forever home with you, how does that work with your company and you?
We'd like to sit down,
have face-to-face
meeting. Have a coffee.
Yeah.
Probably best coffee, kind of understand the vision, and then dig into design.
Yeah.
Everything that gets us ready to break ground.
Okay.
So
and you treat it like 2 different ways, right? We have the site evaluation and engineering, and then you have your house. They're kind of
2 entirely different disciplines.
Yep.
Yeah, of engineering and architecture. Yeah.
That's the right words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right, you were on a roll. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. So with that, generally on a single site, on a streamlined product, basically everything you need to get a permit. And this is when you've really tackled all the risk hurdles, aside from some ongoing risk underground, boulders, things of that nature.
Can't tell until you still dark. Can't tell until you start digging.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you've got the permit, you've overcome any kind of regulatory risk.
Yeah.
So that is the point of pre-con to navigate that entire process. We start with vision. What is your style?
So that's sitting down. We're talking about house
Yeah,
plans.
and
Okay.
the best example I've seen, one of our suppliers, Provia, they've done an excellent job of making pictures of the styles of generally, like what style do I want? A lot of people today are kind of like, I like the craftsman farmhouse.
Yeah, it's a big thing right now.
And dialing that in, kind of setting the tone, we can step into design and going deeper and deeper into having what is everything completed so that we can have a completed permit. We're ready to break ground.
Okay.
So the lot and the house, they can come together, they can come independently, they can both happen at the same time. We rock on both fronts immediately. So your house can move from lot to lot unless you're getting into a really complex design that's really, tying into the lot. Some
Think like
really
the side of a mountain or something
artistic,
crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So in this case, like they have their 20 acres. We're sitting down having that face-to-face meeting. They're going to probably tell you about the house, let's say a craftsman or a farmhouse style. And then what point do we start talking about really putting some money towards the project and maybe those retainer fees or the deposits or anything like that? It's that way you get some boots on the ground to actually go look at the lot. Because the lot can vary, maybe not the lot as much, but the costs that are associated with the lot can vary about how long that driveway is. Can we get power to it? Is it conventional? Is it an alternative septic? Those kind of things. So at what point do you, after we sit down and talk to them that initial meeting, do you want to go out to the lot and that kind of stuff?
We can tell a lot. I mean, about the time we get it in contract.
Okay.
So when we're ready to move on a lot, we can take some small bites of the due diligence, knocking out verifying that the drain field is acceptable, that we're not encroaching on RPAs, the stuff that you look at to find a viable lot and do the studies that are necessary. We can step into that as we're approaching lots. Obviously, within the study period, you have the choice of whether you want to close or not. But putting that together and doing it from a comprehensive approach that involves all the facets of design allows us to bring an ultimate layout that's going to be best suited for the vision that we've established up front.
Okay.
So, and talking about funding the project, we generally are intending to start open with a budget, and because what it always comes down to is, well, your budget's $500,000 or $1 million.
Yeah.
It's not up to us to tell you how much you want to spend. We'll give you a $500,000 product and one that we'll be proud of and stand behind. We'll give you $1 million product.
Yeah.
So what we'd like to do is be open about the budget and navigate all of the options, because we're simply asking for the client's trust initially to work with us.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, we're not playing a pricing game. We're not going to gouge you. We operate at a steady and competitive margin, and we're going to help you navigate the design process.
Yeah.
And do it in a fashion that is going to allow us to execute very well.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've gotten many awards at this point. So, I mean, like the trust should be there. It's not like you're some fly by the night, at this point. So, so with that being said, we've talked about a lot or a lot budget, something like that. We talk about a budget over the overall cost of the build at this point. At what point does it move into like the contract phase? If everybody just agrees on this budget, I mean, because the cost would not be final at that point, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of an open-end budget depending on finishes and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, and depending on the case. So let's say one of our streamlined homes, one of our models, we know the price. And it's like, this is the house, and it's like, yep, that's a lot of value. Let's rock. Here's the selections. All of your finishes. So,
And when you say, just so people might not know, finishes, we're talking about flooring, siding, roof color, cabinets, countertops.
roofing, siding, doors and windows.
All right, so a little bit of doors and windows,
cabinets, tops,
everything. Okay.
flooring. Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much all the finishes.
Mhm.
Okay.
So as you know, I mean, there's a lot of choices to be made there, and
Yeah.
you can spend. But what we intend to do is have a broad offering that we expect to hit the vast majority of the market.
Okay.
So when somebody says, "Hey, I don't really see what I want here in your typical lineup," we might add that to our lineup because we want to have a product that there's no bait and switch. There's no upgrade game. So when you're in the selections room, the price that we were talking about when we were establishing a budget, we've dialed in. We know, and we're giving you a pretty broad array of options with that budget.
So they really got to work to try to upgrade, I guess, at that point. They want something really weird, special order kind of thing. That would be an upgrade.
Sure.
But for the most part, you have pretty good selection.
Right. Yeah, and we, in the custom world where we're going to design, we focus on the structure and the layout. Sometimes there are some intersections between the structure and the layout and the finishes, but normally it's a kind of a two-phase approach. Put the main parts together of everything that we can move forward, and then knock out all the finishes. And the other difference, that you'll see, the way we approach it is we want it done 100% upfront. So we want to work out every detail.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So almost everything's decided for before you even break ground.
Right.
For the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Huh. That way, like, you're not held back for anything. You're just,
we can
by the
rock
time
and
you're
roll.
breaking ground, you're rocking and rolling. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
So even at a full custom, you guys have discussed almost everything at that point before you even break ground. So, but at what point are you locking, again, if we go to that more custom or one of your streamlines, at what point does the contract come into play and the deposits and that kind of stuff, to that way you can start moving? I mean, you don't want to spend any money until you essentially have them under contract, because you don't want to spend all the architectural fee, and then of course all the ground study, the field work, until you're under contract, right?
Yeah, and generally when we've engaged, we've met.
Yeah.
And this is always the starting point, is sitting down and meeting. And from there, in getting into any type of studies, due diligence, architecture, engineering, we're not doing this for profit at this point. Okay, our pre-con or pre-construction, as it's called in the institutional world, like with special projects, hospitals, stuff like that. There's a lot of focus on planning and preparing for the project. So there you'll see we're pretty far on the spectrum as in terms of being proactive.
Yeah.
And that design, we can lay it out normally pretty well. We'll say, hey, single lot, you could be looking at from $5 to $10,000 in site design. A streamlined home, we have the plan, we're ready to go. A custom home, probably somewhere in the $5,000 to $15,000 range of design. And this is going to be kind of hitting that broader market of the, maybe the 500 to $1 million range.
Okay. And so something I want to touch on is you said that this is not for profit at this point. You're essentially, all the site work and everything, you're not making any money on.
That's right.
It's like the deposit and everything they're putting up is literally just to pay the people to go out there to do the work, to make sure you can do the project in a budget that you guys have set out at that point. So that is something nice to just to touch on. Because
yeah, the other point too, a very good point about that, is that all of that is considered deposit.
So that is a really good point, though. So everything's a deposit at that point. So let's say someone had to bring $60,000 to closing, and they've given you $10,000 for the deposit for all the pre-work and everything.
Building design.
They would now be bringing $50,000 at closing, because that would be
dollar for
considered
dollar.
deposit.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, all right. I think people need to understand that, because you never think of site work and all that stuff as a deposit. You're sure. When I think of it, I think it's like, this is just what we need to do to get to the point, but you use it as a deposit. That's nice.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you about a project I've just finished up.
Okay, perfect.
Family comes along, and then they're looking in Spotsylvania County, where we're deeply involved with the staff and the building department and what's going on in the county. And they say, hey, we want to buy this 15 acres, and we want to have a home for ourselves and our daughter and our son. So there's a process to that. You have some survey work, some legal work, and some boots on the ground type stuff. So we said, yeah, sure, we'll take care of that for you. We quarterbacked the subdivision for them.
And this would be a family subdivision.
This was one family lot, one annual lot.
Okay.
And that's just what worked out the best there. And so what we did was we bought the land, we financed it for them.
Oh, nice.
We built them their first house.
Okay.
And we just finished titling the third lot.
Okay. So you guys financed the whole project at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend people get construction to perm over, say, going to you for financing, or
we incentivize it?
Yeah, it's good to put essentially liability on the bank, and plus it keeps it in their name, right, as the homeowner.
That's right.
Yeah, which is kind of it's good for the homeowner, I guess. Maybe.
It makes the deal more attractive too.
Okay,
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
That's good to know. I'm not a builder, so I think sometimes it's always easier for them just to pay out of their pocket. But no, in reality, it's better.
The payments are interest only for whatever is drawn.
Yeah.
So as you go through the five draws, primarily foundation, then you start paying interest on what is drawn, what is paid. And, at the end of the day, it's either the interest is coming out of my pocket or it's coming out of your pocket. And so we like all kinds of deals. Now, when we're financing, we're generally going to be financing something that's more along our streamline product because it's what we're comfortable with.
Because you guys have built that house before.
We've found market fit.
Yeah.
So when it gets into I want to do what I want to do, and hey, maybe you want pink cabinets and purple flooring, you own it, and you're footing the bill, whatever you want.
Yeah.
But we get a little cautious if we're financing pink cabinets.
Absolutely, you want a bigger deposit at that point.
A little bigger deposit.
And you got to think, and people just don't realize this, but like as a builder, I mean, you got to kind of prepare for worst case scenario. Like, I don't want to say, God forbid, they pass away or something, but financing fall apart, and then you're stuck with the bill and those pink cabinets and that kind of thing. And then you got to turn around and resell them. But I don't think people understand that. They're like, why won't they give me my pink cabinets? And it's like, God forbid something happened to you. Now I got to resell it to someone else. So that's when you say streamlined product, that makes sense because it will fit for this market in general.
But getting into the custom and the fun, the working.
Is that what you enjoy to
working
work
through the vision? I love walking in the woods, man. I love riding around, looking at lots. I love building stuff.
Okay.
So working, whether it's our product or it's your product, I mean, going through the design and working out the details and the aesthetic, we can have a lot of fun with that. We can take it. We can keep it pretty vanilla. We can go to the nines. I mean, in terms of complete consideration for sound, how this the acoustics, and doing acoustical studies, light distribution studies. This is where you really get into the art. That's the fun. I really enjoyed that.
That's wild.
I like to shake it up. I like new challenges. I like to be creative. So
if you're willing to take on a bridge, I can understand that.
Yeah. Well, that can be a lot of fun, and getting into those sorts of details and modeling it. Yeah, I really enjoy that.
Okay. All right. So, and I got you off a tangent there a little bit about like the custom and what you enjoyed to do. But getting back to the custom. All right. So, what's that timeline look like if these clients decide not to go streamline and not one of your models, but they want to go more towards a custom property or a custom design?
Yeah. I don't like to rush it. I like to take the time so that we can do it in a comfortable at a comfortable pace. So I would say, I mean, depending on the complexity, we could wrap up a design in maybe 3 months, 6 months, and we could shoot it around. Now we can accelerate that, and we could turn around a plan in a couple of weeks. But generally we find we want to spend the time to work out the details, and from there, permits are 90 days. Construction is from 6 months to a year.
6 months to a year on those customs.
Yeah, and that's going to be a pretty broad range. Now, if we built, something maybe like a 50,000 square foot house, maybe take a little longer than a year.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like counties vary on the permit time as well. I know if you go a little bit further out in the country, you get a permit a little bit quicker. And
that's right.
Further in the city. So getting back to the land process, what does a normal study period go there as well? Because I know like Spotsylvania's got a lot of wetland delineation studies and stuff like that these days. What's the average time span on like that study period for a lot?
We can generally turn around the standard lot studies in a couple of weeks.
Couple weeks?
Yeah, in a week, month at the longest.
Yeah. Oh, I was joking about, that's what I was joking about, because you're like, I like to take my time. I'm like, yeah, you like planning out all the details prior to ever pulling the trigger on the dirt work. So yeah, that makes sense now. That's what I was laughing at. Yeah, you're detail oriented. I like it. So
and coming in, like you were saying, from how does the lot design align with the building design, right? And so generally, unless you're doing that cliff house, a house is going to be the house, and it doesn't matter what lot it's on.
Just more concrete if it needs to go up or down.
That's it. And we do spend a lot of time and attention to how we orient the house and the lot and do the dirt work. So that's really where the two meet. But you can do a 90% site plan on a lot without a house and say, this is my house area. That's generally workable and flexible. You could do a house and then the basement is flexible with how it lays out and walks out, and how the front porch hits the grade and the driveway comes in. So that's where the two meet, and both can be done 90%, 95% without the other.
Yeah.
So they meet at the same time, and when you get there, you want to be ready to go with both. That's why we move on both fronts, and that could mean we could be looking at lots and studying them and ruling them out. We could look at a handful of lots.
But so if someone wanted to come in and they've looked at one of your plans, or they looked on the website and we figured that out, but they don't have a lot in mind, we could work on trying to get them like a budget of some sort.
Yeah. So coming in from a house price, we'll work on the house design, and we can establish a general site cost of in the area, and depending on what locality they're looking in. And establish a lot budget. I mean, it's a very, very easy math. Your lot plus your site cost plus your house. That's your budget.
It's very easy for you though. keep that in mind.
We laid this out
because people will walk out there and be like, "Man, I want that," and I'm like, there's literally 3 creeks to get to that. Like there's some things that are going on there that you got to pay attention to. So it's easy for you, but for the average consumer, I think it can be a little rough.
Yeah, we get into the lot hunt.
Yeah.
Finding lots.
Now, is that something their agent's going to want to do, or
absolutely,
or is that something you want a more hands-on?
We like to quarterback it. We cooperate with the agent, and you find that most agents are not land experts. Yeah. So it's a really good way to tackle it. We even help them negotiate the land contract.
Yeah.
So we can get the studies done pretty quickly, and we can rule out a lot of stuff just at the first glance.
Yeah.
This is my friend.
GIS map, stuff like that.
My friend in the Marines, he called it coup d'oeil. It's a French term they use to discern the topography at a glance. Mm-hmm. And so this is kind of the thing. This is being able to determine the viability of the lot rather quickly. And we try to avoid studies if we can rule it out based on some serious challenges. Like the RPA could totally make a lot not viable, or it could take 6 months. It could be a 6-month permit process.
Or you have major money to get across it or something like that. I mean, if you got to get across the RPA, I think $50,000 in permits and stuff like that.
Some of minor RPAs, you can
more of like a major one.
You can do a few big pipes, but yeah, getting into the wide swamp areas, obviously those are challenging. They could be soft for 10 feet.
Okay.
And we want to get good hard ground.
Good hard ground.
Yeah.
Hard pan. Okay.
We don't we don't make it a cookie cutter process. Okay. And we do this. This is kind of I'm going to tell you a couple of things about our culture, right?
Okay.
Some of the key things about our culture at Core is it, and I mean, I think a lot of people would experience this in the professional world. Is we don't have a finger pointing culture. A lot of kind of the big commercial institutional jobs, it's all about pointing fingers at everybody. Nobody's going to make any money unless there's a change order. We do not like pointing fingers. We don't point fingers. We're all here to get the job done, and we're all working as a team. This is our subcontractor group too. Now, we don't write change orders unless you ask us to change something.
Yeah.
Now, there are a couple of risk cases that we outline up front here, and this is the boulder. And generally what that looks like is, hey, we got to move the house maybe, or we can, we just have to hit it with a giant jackhammer or
Have you had to do that?
dynamite.
Have you ever hit a huge boulder?
No, but there's Culpeper is very,
I can imagine
a lot
out
of big
that way.
boulders out there. My brother bought a lot, and it's a rock. So, I was like, well, we could take a ram hoe, a track hoe with a giant jackhammer on it and work on it for days, or you could just put your house on top of it. So we can identify that risk, but otherwise we're not writing change orders. Okay, we mitigate risk by locking in a price on the site and the house. Mm-hmm. Whereas most builders, they come and they say, 60 grand covers you for your site.
Yeah.
And we'll pay up to 60 grand. Well, a lot of sites are 90 or 120 grand of site work.
Or they'll scare you away and be like, this driveway loan's 150 grand, without ever really even looking at it.
Yeah, so we want to be upfront. We don't want any surprises, and we want to be clear about the risk and how we mitigate that risk. And that's our culture around change orders, finger pointing. We don't do any of that.
And so when you talk about change order, you mean like, yeah, there has to be a major change of something. And so you don't want to ever, you don't, most of the homework up front, or pretty much all the homework up front. And so you don't want any changes in the process.
We're going to honor our price.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Mm-hmm. See, I think you need to hit on that more than change
orders. Okay, right. You're right. What I mean? All right. So let me say that our culture is against the change orders because we're going to honor our price.
You're going to honor your price. So, God forbid if something goes wrong, you guys do everything in your power to make it still work.
That's the benefit of having us engaged in pre-construction.
Yes. Okay.
Whether it's our internal design team and our engineers, or it's your engineers and your architect. This is about a relationship where we're getting started to working together. We're working with the architect and the engineer, and we're doing it in a fashion that we're a team.
Yeah.
And when you have finger pointing between your architect and your engineer and your contractor, costs go up for the owner. When you have a unified approach to design and construction, you know what you're spending, and that's how we do it. That's how we honor our price, with a proactive design. Whereas, you go and talk to 5 different builders and you say, hey, I want a 3,000 square foot house. How much is it going to cost me? Even if you went into, 20 lines deep of detail, you're still not comparing apples to apples until you have a full completed scope of work. Yeah. So that's what we've always said. And I kind of picked that up when we started doing design intensive renovations early in my career. We provide an industry leading detailed scope of work. When throughout our pre-construction cycle, we do have all the details, and it's ready to go, and you know what you're getting, and you know how much it costs.
Because small builders I've worked for, it's really fly by your great builders, don't get me wrong, but nice dudes, but it's really fly by your night. It's like, yeah, I'll get your plans whenever. Mm-hmm. It's just like there's not really there's no process, and I know you have that process. And that's what I'm trying to get at.
And it's flexible too, because I personally don't like to be put in a cookie cutter process. So it's about a relationship more than it's about a process. But it is an approach to design that I think respects design. Mm-hmm. So I try to, yes, we're very highly organized and processed oriented, But when it comes to the design process, you can't rush creativity. And when it comes to designing your dream home, you don't want to be another box to check.
Yeah.
So you want to work with somebody that you know is going to understand what your life is like and what this home means to your life.
Yeah. What else, man? What else we got?
Commercial project?
No, I'm out. I don't mess with commercial.
Well, maybe shout out to this guy. We were trying to build his $3 million house, and he got hung up on the price. I mean, if you're asking your contractor what's the price, you're asking the wrong question. How's that?
Okay. Hey, elaborate on that one.
I mean, so I say this cautiously, but I'm like, look, get through completed design and specification, and see what you know exactly what you're getting, and from that point, shop it. Once you have a full professionally prepared design, then shop if you want to shop. But
do you encourage people to shop
once we finish design?
Really?
Because then you can truly compare apples to apples.
Yeah. But then they have to go through the full steps with them, the next builder.
Not necessarily. There's a lot of builders who will do free estimates.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. And you can get free estimates, and then we would sit down and we would compare. We've done this where a lot of people say, well, hey Jeremiah, we're getting more for less from the other guys, and I said, okay, let's go and sit down and look at it. And it's like, oh, they're excluding gutters, $3,000 for gutters. The basement's $50,000.
Yeah.
Does this include the flooring? So our package comes full, pretty well upgraded already. What you want. I guess that the point there is that once we have a spec, a fully developed spec for you, then you can really know, hey, am I getting a good deal? And so you make your choice ahead of time.
Yeah.
Okay, I know I want a fully coordinated pre-construction package with the contractor who's going to build. I want to know the guy that's going to get me all the way through this and all the way home.
Yeah.
And that choice is based on, hey, I know this is the guy that's going to finish it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good point too, because if you talk to 10 people, like it's usually 50-50 shot whether they like their builder or not. It's either like the process was crazy and we had no clue, and like, yeah, we ended up with the house, but it was a nightmare. Or like, yeah, we're really happy with our builder.
Get to know your builder first.
Yeah, and you really do. You get to know the whole project first before you even breaking ground, which, yeah, I mean, kind of just shows. Are you pretty good about making sure hitting those timelines? I know we talked about the budget, but the timelines on like an estimated closing.
Yeah. Around estimated closing, we really know. We can give you a pretty sure date when we're about 2 weeks out from finished.
Yeah.
Okay. A month out, we're pretty sure, and then beyond that, we're like, hey, look, this is the target. This is a perfect world. We plan if it's never going to rain, and we're always prepared for the rain. Mm-hmm. This year was a wild one. We had snow every other week, just enough to interrupt the whole week.
Make a mud hole.
Yeah, and so that slowed us down about 3 weeks this year.
Yeah.
This snow pattern, which we haven't seen in years. But in terms of completing on timelines, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We had one customer who was upset with us because we finished 2 months early.
2 months early?
Yeah. They said, well.
Oh, man. Oh,
so,
man.
I mean,
Yeah. That's a good problem to have right there. So, like, what if someone came to you with 100 acres and they said they wanted to develop this and to build multiple lots? Is that something you do as well?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and the real, to sum it up, to give like the super high level there, we'll make a cash offer, and we'll also tie it up and study it and design it, and that it can be a now thing or it can be a 2-year thing. We have to seek a rezoning, achieve a highest best use, and maximize the lot yield and the quality of the subdivision. Yes, we'll do that. Even a 3-lot project like we were talking about, or a 10-lot project. or a 30 lot. So we're looking at a 200 acres in Orange with kind of a common area concept, a 6,000 square foot community hub.
Okay.
That could have, I mean, it could be a venue. It could be, you could put a pinball machine in there. You could have a tool exchange even. So creative community concepts there. Working with an old friend who's an architect with the concept called abode. It's a really, really neat way to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a cool project. And being able to, go out there and do the studies and coordinate the team that brings something like that forward. That's what I've done all my life.
Okay.
So when it comes to subdivision work and development, full bore.
So there's really not any part of anything that needs to be built that you don't really get your hands in at some point.
That's why
whether it's a historic home, a commercial, a piece of land, 30 acres, 100 acres, custom house, spec house.
That's why we call it core lot. Because if it's on the lot,
I like it.
It's part of what we do.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense now.
Including the utilities and the roads.
Yeah, all right. All right. No, that's good. Okay, so to summarize this all up, I mean, you've dialed everything in. Like the whole flow of everything.
Yeah. And it's all about relationships. These engineers, architects and surveyors, siding crews, framing crews, concrete companies. These guys, I've been working with them for 20 years.
Wow.
That's what brings it all together is the relationships, and that's the biggest value that I add is long forged relationships of some of the best people in the business that know how to get this stuff done.
Yeah. It truly is like, who do you know more than what you know sometimes. I've noticed that in real estate, hands down. It's like, everything comes down to relationships, like 100%. And relationships you build over the years and leaning on those when you need to, that kind of stuff. Do you do any of your own work, like dirt work or anything like that? Or do you usually sub a lot of it out?
We primarily, we're a project management centric company.
Okay.
Now we'll self-perform. And I'll tell you, I mean, I was working on a 10-lot subdivision, and it was just a matter of getting it done. I could wait for a couple of guys we had to build a road, about a half-mile road, and it was 10 lots that we cleared. I could have waited, but I wanted to get a jump on the schedule, 3 months. And so we self-performed. We did, we rented all the equipment from Carter Cat, and we got some VDOT guys to come out and run with us for a couple months and knocked it out. So every once in a while we'll go and do something.
Yeah. But mostly project management.
That's right.
I like that. I've never thought about it like that. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I know it was a very long episode, and half of it is because Jeremiah is just a very analytical person, and we go into depth about things that go even way over my head. And I realized now that we're in post-editing that really we never finished the conversation. Half of it's because it was longer than that. So, all that being said, we are going to come out with a lot of content. And one of the things I want to highlight is Core Lot and its owner, Jeremiah, and just how it starts from they're getting ready to break ground on a house and taking it from breaking ground all the way to finish, like we have done with other builders, but this time we actually get to talk to the builders. A lot of builders, I'll be honest, don't want to be on camera, and that's fine, but Jeremiah's actually going to be there so you get to hear it from someone else, not just me. I look forward to the things that we have coming out. I thank you guys so much for watching. I know that was a long one, but hang around. Watch next week's episode, and we're going to build out this playlist to show you really what Core Lot's about. Thanks for watching. Bye.